There's no doubt about it. We have a grotesque fascination with anything macabre. That's why serial killers are considered both horrendous and deeply fascinating. We can't help but want to learn more about these disturbed individuals, or at the very least, once they've caught our attention, we can't look away. But there are a crop of serial killers who stand out above the rest thanks to the heinous and prolific nature of their crimes. They were so brutal and twisted that they will go down as the most terrifying serial killers in history. The behavior exhibited by serial killers range from the atrocious to the nightmarish to the absolutely unimaginable. Prepare to feel tingles in your spine, but don't even bother trying to look away. Here are 7 of the most terrifying serial killers in history. Number 1. John Wayne Gacy. I know you haven't forgotten that clown image, and you likely never will. The man behind that story is John Wayne Gacy, who was known as the Killer Clown. A husband and father, Gacy was first arrested after being caught sexually assaulting 2 teenage boys in 1968 and was sentenced to 10 years in jail. But because he behaved behind bars, he was released after only 18 months, proving that the US legal and criminal system was severely lacking at the time. After he was released, Gacy became a popular member of his community as Pogo the Clown and regularly visited children's parties and events. Had he reformed? Not a chance. Over the next 6 years, he would kidnap, rape, torture, and brutally murder 33 boys. He received the death penalty for his crimes in 1994, but he probably should have never left jail the first time. Number 2. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer's name is pretty much synonymous with cannibalism. The killer is notorious for dismembering and eating his victims after killing them. Oh, and he was also reportedly a necrophiliac. As if hearing about Dahmer's activities wasn't scary enough, they had to go and make a movie about him starring a creepy and convincing Jeremy Renner. The film even depicted how Dahmer would drill a hole in his victims' heads to try and create zombie-like sex slaves out of them, something that can't be unseen. Number 3. Jack the Ripper. In the late 19th century, an unidentified serial killer stalked London, gruesomely killing female prostitutes by slitting their throats and abdomens, often taking their internal organs. Someone trying to claim credit for the murders called himself Jack the Ripper in a letter, and the name has stuck ever since. I mean, it is pretty fitting. Number 4. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy perfectly fits the profile of the normal guy who moonlights as a sadist. Between 1974 and 1978, Bundy kidnapped and murdered at least 30 women. The clever and cruel Bundy would pretend to be disabled or an authority figure to lure unsuspecting victims into his trap. He would then rape, torture, kill, and dismember them. Just because you're evil and murderous doesn't mean you can't be sentimental. Bundy kept the severed heads of his victims as keepsakes. Number 5. Ed Gein. Though Ed Gein's victim count is pretty low compared to some of the other people on this list, he was only found guilty of 2 murders. The absolutely sick nature of his crimes make him one of the most notorious serial killers in history. After his mother died, Gein began digging up women who resembled her from the cemetery and fashioning together a suit out of their skins. Later on, police discovered a veritable museum of body parts in his home, featuring furniture upholstered with human flesh, skull bowls, and even a belt made of human nipples. Gein is said to have inspired 3 very notorious fictional characters: Norman Bates of Psycho, Buffalo Bill of The Silence of the Lambs, and Leatherface of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 6. Aileen Wuornos. Arguably the most well-known female serial killer of all time, Wuornos killed at least 7 men when she was working as a prostitute between 1989 and 1990. Wuornos gained even more infamy when Charlize Theron completely transformed herself to portray her in the 2003 film Monster, a role that won her the Best Actress Oscar. The film came out 1 year after Wuornos was executed via lethal injection. Number 7. Pedro Lopez. Colombian-born Pedro Lopez was accused of raping and killing more than 300 girls throughout South America, which earned him the nickname Monster of the Andes. In 1980, Lopez led police to the grave of 59 of his victims, who were all girls between the ages of 9 and 12. Yet somehow, he was released from a psychiatric hospital in 1998 on good behavior, and he remains at large to this day. Terrific. Thus concludes today's video about the top terrifying serial killers. Hope you all enjoyed the videos. If you have an opinion about any of our videos, please mention them in the